Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. This is episode 48 of the Solve for Mom podcast, the show where you turn your life plans into meaningful action. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. If this is your first time here, welcome to the show. Today's show may forever change the way you approach vision planning. Maybe you found yourself fighting decision fatigue while trying to reach a specific outcome or goal, or you know what you want, but you're not quite sure what path to take to get there. If you're a high-achieving mom like me, then you know what it's like to feel overwhelmed and scattered, both because you have a lot going on, but also because you experience a constant flood of ideas and goals that you want to shoot for. By the time you're done addressing everyone else's needs, you're not quite sure how to tackle your own. Well, that's why today I'm sharing a science-backed strategy that's going to help you not just set goals, but actually achieve them. We're diving into a powerful problem-solving hack that is a bit of a closely held secret by experts in psychology and consulting. This is one of the strategies that I also use as a personal growth coach to help moms reclaim their time and to create space for their own goals while staying present for their family. And now I'm spilling the beans on this insider strategy. If you're ready to stop feeling stuck between wanting to reach your specific milestones, then this episode is for you. Grab that notebook and let's get started. Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anoki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and you want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while still being the amazing mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this complex equation we call life, it's time to sharpen our pencils and our minds and solve for mom. Because this show focuses on high-achieving moms, when I'm developing discussions about the struggles that we face and solutions to work through our challenges, I can get so hyper-focused that I forget that sometimes these are actually struggles that also affect other members of society. This actually came up a few episodes ago in episode 43 during my conversation with the Friendship Tour host Cecilia Curtis, when she reminded me that creating deeply meaningful friendships can actually be a struggle for all adults, not just moms. So today's topic is sort of similar in that respect. When I was doing research for this, I found out that setting and achieving goals is not just a struggle that's unique to moms. I mean, there might be some nuances to personal growth that is different for moms, but some of the obstacles and solutions actually overlap for anyone who's trying to pursue this type of thing. In fact, a 2002 study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology followed a group of individuals who were making New Year's resolutions, and they wanted to see how successful they would be in achieving their goals. And what they found was that 46% of the people who set New Year's resolutions had actually succeeded in their goals when the researchers checked back in 6 months later. But they had also tracked a control group of individuals who did not set any New Year's resolutions. And in that group, only 4% of the people had succeeded in their goals. So clearly setting goals is definitely a good first step. It's better than not setting any goals. But that's also not all of the story, right? Only 46% of the people who actually set out goals are reaching them. So then, when I dug a little further, I found additional research that showed that the way people plan to pursue their goals also impacts their goal success. Traditionally, people tend to be forward planners, but the research is showing that backwards planning can lead to greater motivation. When you set goals, you also have a higher expectation that you might be able to achieve that goal, and you're also setting more realistic timelines for your goals. Overall, researchers see better performance in those that do backward planning for their goals than those who are planning forwards. The thinking is that backwards planning allows for clear visualization of the tasks that are needed to reach a goal, especially for complex goals. Essentially, it's not just about setting the goal, but also the way you plan for your goal. How you plan to get your outcome matters. Now, if you've listened to my show for any length of time, then this shouldn't be a surprise to you because I talk about working backwards all of the time, whether it's project planning and timelines, or problem solving, or vision casting that we use in life planning, or my goal journey framework. I have designed them all to start with the endpoint in mind and work backwards to figure out what are the milestones that you need to reach that final goal. But there's one additional idea that I want to build on that I haven't shared before. I use this specifically with the clients that I coach, but today I'm going to share this powerful tactic with all of you. See, I want to give you as many tools as possible to maximize your chances of succeeding in your own journey. And my hope is that many of you are going to be able to take action and make progress just from listening to this show. But remember, I'm going to be here if you hit any bumps along the way, whether you need help from step one or just occasional guidance from me. I'm here to support you, and I truly love helping moms in those early stages when their ideas are just taking shape and they're brushing away the cobwebs. So if you're not sure and you want to see how I can help you through coaching, check out the link in the show notes to get a complimentary exploratory call with me. So the strategy I'm sharing today is called reverse thinking. You might have also heard of it as inversion thinking or opposite thinking. It's a powerful technique that challenges the conventional problem solving by approaching challenges from the complete opposite direction. Instead of focusing on how to achieve your goals, you start by brainstorming what could guarantee failure. Yeah, you heard me right. What do you have to do to make things go wrong? And by knowing that, you can then avoid those pitfalls. It really helps you break away from the usual thought patterns that you might find yourself in. And then it leads you to really unique solutions. So it's really great when you're stuck or you have an idea of what you want, you just don't know how to get there. Essentially, it's about both thinking backwards, which we just talked about, and then also turning a problem upside down, kind of like flipping the script, to identify potential pitfalls and then develop really effective strategies to avoid those pitfalls. Inversion thinking is actually a problem-solving technique that was developed by a German mathematician, Carl Gustav Jacobi. And when he was solving problems, he was often quoted as saying, invert, always invert. But it was Charlie Munger, who is the famous advisor to Warren Buffett, who basically infused this idea more generally in finance and consulting. So in their world, where most people might ask, what businesses should I invest in? And they would go on and identify the ideal attributes of a profitable company. Munger would actually invert all of that, and he would ask the opposite. Which companies are bad investments? What do I not want to see in a company? So I think this concept is pretty easy to understand, right? But what does this mean now to you as a high-achieving mom, someone who wants to create impact and improve your likelihood of a successful outcome? Let's break down the practical steps to implement reverse thinking so you can apply it to your own goals. The first step, as I always say, is to define your problem. You want to have clarity on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So state clearly what you want to solve. With reverse thinking, you want to intentionally focus on what you want to avoid. So as a personal example, my husband and I recently built a home gym. It's something that we had been talking about for years. And at first we had a million ideas of what we wanted or what could work. And every time we sat down to plan or budget or design, our ideas would change because there were so many appealing options. And we really hit kind of a wall of decision fatigue. And often we would just end up stalling and not really get any traction on our ideas. But we were finally able to start taking action when we inverted the design effort and started annotating what we didn't want for sure. What we couldn't have due to our town's building codes, or what we weren't willing to spend, or what was logistically unrealistic, or just what didn't meet our preferences. Okay, then the second step is you want to brainstorm ways to make it worse. Really, you want to list all the possible ways that you can fail. You want to consider all the internal obstacles, right? The kind of mindset that's going to guarantee that you're not going to achieve your goals. And then you want to think about the external reasons why things couldn't work for you. And just list everything, include even seemingly absurd ideas. So in my example of our home gym, we start to list our worst case scenarios, right? Like weather hazards that would cause the thing to come crumbling down, or even less catastrophic things like, would we care if the flooring inside got scratched up? What if the equipment failed and led to an injury? What if we dug down too low when we're setting the foundation and killed the big, beautiful trees that were around our backyard? What if we spent money on all of the paint and it turned out not to be the right paint color? We actually started talking to other people about our plans, friends and family, and they were starting to give us ideas as well. This kind of brainstorming can actually lend really well to including your kids in the process because they are naturally out-of-the-box kind of thinkers. Kids love absurdity. And when you get them involved, you're going to find that they actually stretch your thinking in this matter. Okay, step 3 is where you really start to see the benefits of this process. It's super fun. You basically take all the negative ideas that you guys all came up with and flip them. So you take each of the negative scenarios and the things that cause you to reach that negative outcome and flip it and make that inversion the solution. And then with that solution, you break it down into smaller milestones. You want to create really specific action steps. Through this inversion method, we figured out where to place our gym, what we wanted the exterior and the interior design to be, which contractors we wanted to hire, what our budget was, like which parts were we not willing to compromise on quality. We were also able to figure out how to make the gym usable for both me and my husband because we train in very different ways. And we found a way to make it safe enough in case our kids happen to find their way into the gym, which we don't really let them in there unattended. We even figured out nitty-gritty details like a system for our shoes in case we had to walk through rain or dirt or even snow salt in the winter before entering the gym. We didn't want those elements to end up creating a mess or damaging the interior of the gym. And we were able to develop a realistic timeline for building the home gym. The final step, which is step 4, is really the most important. It's to take action. Success is really only going to come from both identifying what not to do, right, like we just talked about, but also taking consistent action towards all of these reverse solutions. It's great that you can come up with the plan, and reverse thinking is going to help you come up with a really strong path to achieving your goals. But none of that's going to matter if you don't take action. Once you have a pretty good plan, you don't have to have all of it fleshed out, then start with one small step. You're going to find that just taking a small step in your goal is going to motivate you to take more steps. It's going to increase your confidence, and you're going to want less and less to abandon your goals because you're starting to see progress. Now, inversion thinking is not just for home projects like my example, but for big things like your fitness goals or career goals or making a pivot or following through on your entrepreneurial ideas. So let's say we're talking about career advancement. Well, you want to first identify ways to stall your career and then reverse those ideas to create a strategic career plan. Or let's say it's our ever ongoing effort to create work-life balance. How about listing everything that's going to create chaos in your schedule and then maybe flipping each of those points so that you can find a more effective way of establishing boundaries or which systems you need to put into place. Perhaps you have personal development goals. Then you could consider the habits that are going to drain your energy and reverse them and build all the routines that are going to re-energize you into completing your goals. Reverse thinking is also useful in everyday, ordinary decision making. So here are some more examples. Reverse thinking can help with meal planning. Instead of asking, what should I cook? Maybe you can ask, what meals always fail? Or which meal is going to cause me a lot of stress when preparing it? Perhaps you're trying to establish consistent family routines rather than focusing on the perfect schedule, right? Which is a trap we can often fall into. How about identifying what routines consistently break down for you? They just fall apart and never seem to work out. If you're dealing with managing your home, instead of listing all the things that need to be done and having this huge long to-do list, you could consider what would make the household system completely fail. What would a completely disorganized, cluttered up, unclean home look like? And what would you have to do to ensure that the house looks that way? And then try to do the opposite. And here's a pro tip. When you're faced with a new challenge, try looking at it from multiple angles rather than just seeking the direct linear solution. This is really going to help you deepen your daily problem solving and come up with really effective solutions. So we're going to wrap up in a sec, but if you found this free information that I offer in these episodes useful, I have lots more strategies to help you make that big dream come true. If you're tired of feeling like you've lost yourself in motherhood, then I know I can help you get that shine back. We've all been there, where it's getting hard to remember that accomplished woman you used to be, the one with clear direction and purpose. It's so easy to turn into a scattered and distracted woman and letting all of that overwhelm take over while you put your own dreams in the backseat. In my Balanced Mom coaching program, I help high-achieving moms like you reclaim your sense of direction and purpose while maintaining strong family connections. Using science-backed strategies like inversion thinking that I explained just now, or my goal journey framework, we're going to work together to create a clear roadmap to your goals that align with your family life. And we develop creative solutions to balance your work, your family, and your personal aspirations. You're going to build your confidence in making decisions that serve both you and your family. And I'm going to teach you how to manage your time and energy much more efficiently. As one of my clients who was stuck in survival mode shared with me, that it's like dusting off all of these things that she hadn't let herself think about in a long while. Well, you too can rediscover that sense of purpose and pursue the things that matter to you the most. So stop waiting for someday to feel accomplished. Book that free exploratory call with me. The link is in the show notes. I really enjoyed today's powerful discussion about reverse thinking, and I hope you did too. As ambitious moms juggling multiple responsibilities, we often feel overwhelmed and scattered when we're pursuing our goals, right? But I hope that you now have one more tool to approach your goal achievements in a kind of different way. So here are the takeaways from today's episode. Reverse thinking helps you break free from decision fatigue by starting with what you want to avoid rather than what you want to achieve. And this approach leads to greater motivation and higher expectations that you're going to achieve your goal, especially for the more complex challenges that we ambitious moms face. The practical steps that I talked about to using this method is to first define your problem clearly, and then 2, brainstorm ways that things could actually go wrong. 3, you're going to flip those negative scenarios into positive solutions, and 4, create specific action items from those insights. Here's what you can start with right now. Start with one specific goal and practice reverse thinking. So document both the negative scenarios and then flip them to outline the reversal, which will be your solution. As you do this, you're really going to want to review and adjust your approach regularly because remember, we might not have everything fleshed out, so it's okay to refine your plan as you go. And I also want you to celebrate those small wins along the way. Today's show was really to remind you that sometimes the best way forward is to think backwards. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other ambitious mamas about it. Who knows, you might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. Thank you for making my show a part of your day. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Solve for Mom podcast with Anoki Kapasi.